Hello learners, welcome back. In this video, we are going to solve 10 previous year's GATE questions on compaction of soil. So here goes the first question. First question states that let G be the specific gravity of soil solids, W be the water content of the soil sample, gamma W be the unit weight of water, and gamma D is the dry unit weight of the soil. They are asking you the equation of the zero air void line in the compaction test plotted is. Basically, they are asking you what is the equation of the zero air void line. So this is a very direct question. We know that the equation of the air void line is gamma D is equals to 1 minus eta A G gamma W by 1 plus WG. Now this is the most important equation that you have to remember for the compaction of soil. I have derived this equation and explained you about this equation in a detailed manner in the theory of this chapter. Those who haven't seen the theory, I would request you to go through the theory of the compaction of the soil first. You can get the theory by pressing the I button, or you can also see the link in the description box for the same. Now this is the equation for the air void line. Now what is zero air void line? When all the air present in the soil is expelled out, that is eta A, that is the percentage of air in the soil becomes zero, then it is called the zero air void line. So if this quantity becomes zero and the soil becomes 100% saturated, then the equation of the line is zero air void line, or it is also known as 100% saturation line, because in that case when there is no air present in the soil becomes completely saturated. So if we put eta A is equals to 0, what we will get? We will get gamma D is equals to G gamma W by 1 plus WG. So this is the equation of the zero air void line, and option number A is the correct option. Let's move on to the second question. The second question states that following statements are made on the compacted soil, where DS stands for the soil compacted on the dry side of the optimum moisture content and WS stands for the soil compacted on the wet side of the optimum moisture content. And we have to identify the incorrect statement. So students, be careful whenever you will encounter, please mark this. You have to identify the incorrect statement, not the correct one. Okay. So the first statement is the soil structure is flocculated on the dry side and dispersed on the wet side. So if this is the compaction curve, here is the water content and here is the dry density. So this is the water content and there is the dry density of the soil, gamma D. This is optimum moisture content, OMC. On the drier side of the optimum moisture content, the soil has flocculated structure. This I have explained you in a detailed way in my theory video. So please go through the theory video if you haven't gone through that. Okay. So first one is the correct statement. I'm marking it correct. And here the soil is having a dispersed structure like this, oriented structure on the wet side. Construction pore water pressure is low on the dry side and high on the wet side. What happens? On the drier side of the optimum moisture content, since the water content of the soil is very less, so the pore water pressure is also less. On the wetter side of the optimum moisture content, the water content is high, so the pore water pressure is also high. So this statement is also correct. The third statement is on drying, the shrinkage is high on the dry side and low on the wet side. Now on the dry side, the soil is having a random structure. This sort of structure is there, which is known as flocculated structure. A random structure is there. You will observe in the wet side of the, in the dry side of the soil. So this sort of structure doesn't allow the soil to shrink much. So shrinkage is low on the drier side as compared to the wetter side of the optimum moisture content. Okay. On the wet side, the structure is dispersed structure. It does not resist any force. And when the water is lost, they tend to come closer to each other and you will find more shrinkage. This I have also explained you in the theory session. So the statement says that on drying, the shrinkage is high on the dry side and low on the wet side. So this is the incorrect statement. But let's discuss the fourth one also. On access to water, the swelling is high on the dry side. The dry side can absorb more moisture because it is having lack of moisture. It can absorb more moisture, so it will swell more, and the wetter side of this soil is having already more moisture and it has less absorption capacity, so it will swell less. Okay, I hope you understood. So this is the correct statement. So what is our answer? Our answer is option number C, which is incorrect. Let's move on to the third question. The third question says that two series of compaction tests were performed in the laboratory on inorganic clayey soil, employing two different levels of compaction energy per unit volume of the soil. With regard to the above test, the following two statements are made. The optimum moisture content is expected to be more for the test with higher energy. So first of all, let me draw the diagram for you. What sort of diagram? We have to draw the compaction curve for two energy levels. This also I have explained you in a detailed manner in my video of the theory of compaction of soil. You please go through that video. This sort of compaction curve you get, and if you increase the energy level, that means you go for a higher Proctor test, modified Proctor test, what happens is you are increasing the energy. Okay, so you will get more dry density at less optimum moisture content. So this sort of curve you will observe. Okay, you remember this curve. This is very important. This is for standard Proctor test. This is for modified Proctor test. Standard Proctor test, I'm writing SPT, not standard penetration test. This is standard Proctor test and this is modified Proctor test. Okay, I'm just writing the short forms. So here what happens is optimum moisture content is little greater, or let it be OMC1. This is the moisture content and this is the dry density gamma D, and here the optimum moisture content is less than the first one, and gamma D for first one will be, okay, I'm sorry about this, the gamma D for the first one will be less than the gamma D for the second one. Okay, so this is the gamma D1 and this is gamma D2. This is gamma D2. Okay, so let me just read the question. The optimum moisture content is expected to be more for the test with higher energy. So which one is more? Optimum moisture content 1 is more or 2 is more? Clearly optimum moisture content 1 is more than optimum moisture content 2, right? But energy of 2 is greater than energy of 1. The green line is having more energy, so this statement is false. This statement, the optimum moisture content is expected to be more for the test with higher energy, this statement is wrong. Let's check the second one. The maximum dry density is expected to be more for the test with higher energy. So you observe here, this is the maximum dry density and this is the higher energy. The green line is for higher energy. So maximum dry density is more for higher energy. So this statement is correct. Now let's check the options. The correct option evaluating the above statement is only one is true. No, one is false. So this is wrong. Only two is true. This is correct one. Both one and two are, of course, if the second one is correct, then all the others are false. So this was asked in GATE 2012. Now let's proceed to the next question. Next question is, in the compaction test, G, W and S and E represent the specific gravity, water content, degree of saturation and the void ratio of the soil sample respectively. If gamma W represents the unit weight of water and gamma D represents the dry unit weight of the soil, the equation of the zero air void line is. So this is a repeated question. It's again asked in 2010. You have to report what is the equation for the zero air void line. So definitely I have told you the equation for the zero air void line is G gamma W by 1 plus WG. Option number B. G gamma W by 1 plus WG. Now moving on to the next question. Next question says that the deposit with flocculated structure is formed when? So when we find deposits with flocculated structure? The clay particles settled on the seabed, clay particles settled on the freshwater lake bed, Sand particles settled on the riverbed or sand particles settled on the seabed. So first of all, let me tell you, this flocculated and dispersed structure is observed only in the fine-grained soils. Only fine-grained soils show flocculated or dispersed structure. It is not the characteristics of a coarse-grained soil. Since sand is a coarse-grained soil, it is eliminated. Only fine soils represent the characteristics of flocculated and dispersed structure. So first of all, sand is eliminated. Now, clay particles settled on the seabed or clay particles settled on the freshwater lake. Now, what is flocculated structure? Flocculated structures are formed when there are charged particles in the soils. There are charges present in the soil surface which tend to repel each other. So this sort of random orientation is observed and the charges repel each other. That is why flocculated structure is observed. So what do you think? When do we find more charges in the soil surface? When the water is neutral or when the water is having certain salt contents? Definitely, when the water is having certain salt contents, you will find more charges on the particles, soil particles, than the neutral water. So in sea, what happens? The sea water contains salt, which in turn contains many charged particles. You know, sodium chloride, Na plus, Cl minus, MgCl2, Mg2 plus, Cl2 minus, so sorry, Cl minus. So these sort of charges are present in the seawater. So definitely you will find flocculated structure in clay particles on the seabed and not on the lake water. Okay, now let's move ahead to the next question. Compaction by vibratory roller is the best method for compaction in the case of moist silty sand, well graded dry sand, clay of medium compressibility or silt of higher compressibility. Now vibration, this method is suitable for sand only. This method is suitable for sand. We do not apply vibration in the case of clay or silt. In case of clay, we either use pneumatic rollers or sheep foot rollers. For clay, we use sheep foot rollers. So hope you remember this. The correct option would be well graded dry sand. Moist silty sand, it contains silt, and since it is a silty sand, the percentage of silt is greater than 12%, and silt is a fine grained soil, and this clay and silt are fine grained soil. So we do not apply vibration for compacting such soils. So it is only applicable for well graded dry sand. So you see, in this chapter of compaction, most of the questions are very theoretical. You will find very less numerical in this chapter. So here goes the next question. In a compaction test, as the compaction effort is increased, the optimum moisture content, what happens to that? So here is the diagram. As the optimum moisture content, as the compaction effort increases. So what if we increase the compaction effort? Just now I have explained you with the help of a diagram. This was a standard Proctor test and this was the modified Proctor test. Something like this, modified Proctor test, plot 4. And you are increasing the compacting effort, the optimum moisture content will decrease. This is the OMC1. Let this be OMC. Okay, OMC1, and this is OMC2. As you are increasing the effort, your optimum moisture content decreases. Okay, so first option is the correct option. And gamma D, what happens to the gamma D? Gamma D increases as the compacting effort increases. Okay, this is gamma D1. Now let's move on to the next question. A clayey soil has maximum dry density of 16 kilonewton per meter cube. A clayey soil has maximum dry density of 16 kilonewton per meter cube and optimum moisture content of 12%. A contractor during the construction of the core of an earth dam obtained the dry density of 15.2 kilonewton per meter cube and the water content of 11%. The construction is acceptable because. So they are asking you, why is the construction acceptable? Let's see the statements. The density is less than the maximum dry density and the water content is on the dry side of the optimum. So construction of a core of the earthen dam, what it is expected that the density should be close to the maximum dry density, okay, because we want the core of the earthen dam to be very maximum, and the water content should be on the wet side of the optimum. Core of the earthen dam is compacted on the wetter side of the optimum moisture content, because in that case the permeability of the soil is very low, okay, and we don't want the core of the earthen dam to be permeable, so we compact that core of the earthen dam on the wetter side of the optimum moisture content. So first statement doesn't seems to be good. The second statement is the compaction density is very low and the water content is less than 12%. So compaction density is not very low. Maximum was 16 and the contractor has achieved 15.2. So it is not very low. So second statement is also not very true. Wrong. The third is the compaction is done on the dry side of the optimum. Now in the question, it is nowhere written whether where the compaction is done on the dry side of the optimum or the wet side of the optimum. It is not given. This data is not given in the question. So this option is also gone. So let's see the fourth one. Both the dry density and the water content of the compacted soil are within the desirable limits. Okay, so expected was 16 kilonewton per meter cube, and what the contractor has achieved, he has achieved 15.2 kilonewton per meter cube. Now OMC expected optimum moisture content was 12%, and what the contractor has achieved uh, was 11%, so very close to 12%. So the correct answer would be D. Both the dry density and the water content of the compacted soil are within the desirable limits. Not very high, not very low. Okay, within the limits. Now let's move on to the next question. The next question states that optimum moisture content, OMC SP and MDD SP, denotes the optimum moisture content and the maximum dry density obtained from the standard Proctor test respectively. So okay, what is it? OMC SP is optimum moisture content for the standard Proctor test. MDD SP, what is MDD? Is maximum dry density for the standard Proctor test. Okay, SP means standard Proctor test. And now second statement is OMC MP and MDD MP denotes the optimum moisture content and the maximum dry density obtained from the modified Proctor compaction test respectively. So OMC MP is what? Optimum moisture content for the modified Proctor test. MDD MP is what? It is maximum dry density for the modified Proctor test. Which of the following is correct? Again the same question, in a different format. So I'll just draw the diagram. So they have asked you the same question in three different ways. This is the third time they are asking you the same question, so this is very important. This is the graph for the standard Proctor test, and for the modified Proctor test, what we are doing, we are increasing the compactive effort. So the graph will be something like this, right? So you just have to remember this graph. This graph is very important. This is a moisture content W, this is gamma D, dry density. Now the question is very easy. Optimum moisture content for the standard Proctor test is less than the optimum moisture content for modified Proctor test. So let's see. The green one is modified Proctor test. This is a modified Proctor test, and this one is standard Proctor test, right? You know this. This is standard Proctor test. Let's see about the moisture content. This is OMC. So OMC of 1 and this is OMC 2. Which one is less? The first statement says that OMC of the standard Proctor test is less than the modified Proctor test. नहीं. The correct statement is the OMC of the modified Proctor test is less than the standard Proctor test. So the first statement itself is wrong. So this is not the correct one. Now, OMC, optimum moisture content for the standard Proctor test, is greater than the optimum moisture content for the modified Proctor test. Okay, correct. Now, maximum dry density for the standard Proctor test is less than the maximum dry density for the modified Proctor test. Let's see. This is the dry density obtained. This is the maximum dry density gamma D1 obtained from the standard Proctor test. And this is the maximum dry density obtained from the modified Proctor test. So which one is greater? I think the dry density obtained from the modified Proctor test is greater than the standard Proctor test. So this one is correct and this one is also correct. So statement 2 is correct. Okay, this one is the correct statement. So once you know the graph, once you remember this graph, all the questions you can solve. So don't get confused by the statements or don't learn the statements at all. What you have to learn is this graph. This graph is very important. I'm marking in this in the asterisk. So this graph is very important. Once you know this graph, you can solve any sort of questions. Okay, now let's move ahead. Okay, so this was a numerical problem asked in GATE 2006 for 2 marks. And mind you, this question was also for 2 marks. This was a 2 marks question asked in the year 2016. So let's move on to the last question of the day. In the standard Proctor test, 1.8 kg of the moist soil was filled in a mold of 944 cc. After compaction, the soil sample weighing 23 grams was taken from the mold and oven dried for 24 hours at a temperature of 110 degrees Celsius. The weight of the dry sample was found to be 20 grams. The specific gravity of the soil solids is G is equals to 2.7. The theoretical maximum value of the dry unit weight, what are they asking? The theoretical maximum dry value of the dry unit weight of the soil at a water content equal to. Let's see the question. So first they have given you 1.8 kg of moist soil was filled in the mold and mold volume was given and the soil sample weighing 23 grams. So initial weight W1 was how much? It was 23 grams. And then after oven drying, what is W2? W2 was 20 grams, right? What is specific gravity? Specific gravity is 2.7. This is given to you. So from this data, what can we find? If we subtract W1 from W2, what do we get? We will get the water content. We'll get how much water was present in the soil. So 23 minus 20 is 3 grams. There were 3 grams of water. This was water. 3 grams of water in the soil, in 23 grams of soil. Okay, now let's see what we can find. We'll find the water content of the soil. Water content is mass of water to the mass of solids, right? So when the soil is completely dry, it becomes solid only. There is no water, there is no mass of water, just air is present and the mass of air is negligible. So mass of water 3 grams. And what is the mass of solids? This W2 is nothing but the mass of solids, because here no water is present, only soil solids and air is present, and the mass of air is negligible. So 20 grams is the mass of solids only. So this is the water content of the soil. So once we get the water content, what they are asking you? They are asking you the theoretical maximum value of dry unit weight. What could be the theoretical maximum value of the dry unit weight? We know that theoretically the maximum dry unit weight which a soil can achieve is when there is no air voids present in the soil. And when there is no air voids present in the soil is 100% saturated. And when this condition appears, it is known as the zero air void line. I have already explained you about the concept of the zero air void line in my lecture. Okay, kindly go through the lecture. I've also told you that in case of zero air void line, what is the significance? It signifies that it is the maximum gamma d which can be achieved theoretically, but it is not a practical concept. Okay, so what is the equation of the zero air void line? Gamma d is equals to g gamma w by 1 plus wg. So we'll make use of this statement in order to find gamma d. In fact, it is gamma d max, that is the theoretical maximum dry density which the soil can achieve. So see how important the equation of zero air void line is. Thrice they are asking you questions based on the zero air void line. Now we know that we have to find gamma d. So for that, g is given to you, gamma w you know, 1, and w you just have found out, and then again g is known to you, given in the question. So that's all. Now there is one important thing to be considered here. See the options. The options are having the unit as kilonewton per meter cube, kilonewton per meter cube, kilonewton per meter cube. So you have to find your answer in kilonewton per meter cube only. Why I am telling you? Because you'll just understand. Gamma d is equals to g. What is the value of g over here? It is 2.7 given. What is the value of gamma w? Gamma w means unit weight of water. What unit weight of water will you take? Will you take it as 1000 kg per meter cube? Will you take it as 10,000 Newton per meter cube? Or will you take it as 1 gram per cc? 1 gram per centimeter cube? What is the unit weight of water will you take? So you will take the unit weight of water according to these options. Okay. It is given in kilonewton per meter cube. So you will take the unit weight of water accordingly. You will take the unit weight of water in kilonewton per meter cube. So what is the unit weight of water in kilonewton per meter cube? Let me tell you. One thing you should know, gamma d density of water is 1000 kg per meter cube. This you should know. It is 1000 kg per meter cube. If you multiply this with the acceleration due to gravity 9.81 or 10, I have written 10,000 because I have taken acceleration due to gravity here as 10 here, but you are taking 9.81 is standard, so you will take 9.81 into 1000. This will give you in Newton per meter cube. So this is the unit weight of water in Newton per meter cube. Now, if you want to convert this into kilonewton per meter cube, what will you do? You will just divide it by 1000. So this and this will be gone, and you will get the unit weight of water as 9.81 kilonewton per meter cube. So sometimes you take 9.81 or sometimes you take 10. Whenever whatever is convenient, you take the unit weight of water as 9.81 or 10. So here I'll be taking the unit weight of water as 9.81. Okay, because it is asked in kilonewton per meter cube. And what is the value of, okay, 1, and what is the value of w? W is 3 by 20, right? 3 by 20, and this g is again 2.7. Now if you solve this, you will get the answer, and you will get the answer as this. I'm just writing the answer, I'm not calculating. So you will get the answer is as 18.85. okay, 18.85 kilonewton per meter cube. So that was all for today's class. Hope you liked the session. Till then, bye bye, have a nice day, and do like and follow me for more. Please follow me in the Telegram channel, the link of which is given in the description box.